car key and you forget where you have kept. You start a problem. You are just talking to each other. Then you go back, think about it, then you remember. So
You know, you have parked a car there, and then the next thing you're asking Ruth, where did I park? Are you listening? Yes. Are you listening? I came, I parked, and then I'm asking him, where have you seen my car? Okay. Anything else?
Another one, when you find you are walking and you find Lucy talking alone, not even talking to her.
Someone. You find I am talking, I am doing like this, I am saying like this. Maybe for Generation Z this is normal. It is not normal. Yeah. In other words, you are acting. First of all, there is the question of memory, your capacity to remember. Your memory, your capacity to remember. The second thing is really being able to link events, linking your parking with when you are going to drive off. You need to know that this is where you parked. For instance, I can tell you where I parked. I can close my eyes and tell you where my car is. But if I come to ask you where is my car, then you know that there is a problem here. You don't even know whether you should tell me or you need to find out a little more about myself, about my state, whether there are other problems which have impacted my ability to be able to recall where I parked. Anything else? Yes. This is a lawyer, young lawyer.
Anxiety.
This is beautiful. Anxiety. I don't want to ask him what is this anxiety. Maybe you have seen any of your parents who are anxious? You don't want to confess. Anxiety, worrying, excessive. Of course, it is important to worry, but when there is excessive concern about an issue, which is not an issue, that might suggest that there is probably a problem. Yes, Molly?
Yes, as the social interactions change, you find that someone used to be with people, but now is withdrawn.
Somebody who used to be with people, he is not at home. He's not even going to the gate. Not that he can't walk, but he's not even moving from where he's sitting to the gate. Are you getting this? Yes. Anything else?
Maybe when someone has got prolonged stress or burnout.
Stress, these are teachers, they know about burnout. Yes. Anything else? Yes.
Thank you. Elder is reluctant to give me to answer, but mental health will affect your mood. So these are people who will be excessively happy or sad. It will also affect your behavior. They may not be able to do those activities of daily living which you could just think and do. It gets impaired. Those are some of the signs.
Thank you very much. There's another hand there.
Yes, thank you.
Appetite. Either someone doesn't want to eat or they want to eat a lot or some particular food all the time. Yeah.
There's another hand here.
Somebody is very irritable. Over very small issues, gets very irritated about them. And then also procrastinating a lot. Like you don't want to do anything, you're just moving things ahead.
Thank you very much. Somebody who is irritable. And this is obviously somebody you know the way they conduct themselves, but there comes a point where a very minor issue causes a big crisis. Because a very minor issue causes a big crisis very easily. Anything else? So you can see here, these people can already detect beyond saying somebody who goes without a shirt. I mean, sometimes it can be very hot. And we see people in town who are dressed very lightly because it is hot. But there is a way of dressing that would suggest that this person is not either very conscious of himself or his environment. There is a detachment. Yeah.
The time we are not going to set you free. We again have another question. How will the doctors name all these things that we have listed? Is it depression? How will they name them?
You know, the way individuals are categorized, who said about staying at home, not moving? Yes, Mary talked about somebody who is alone, who is keeping alone, who is avoiding things, who is avoiding responsibility. That is, in a sense, you would categorize those kind of conditions in the category of being depressed, when you are depressed. But you can also be extremely irritable when you are depressed. You can very easily, if something comes up, you think somebody is quiet and you want to wake him up, you raise a small issue and it causes fire. It is depression, but the individual can overreact in terms of responding to that situation. But there is also another extreme where the individual is overactive. He starts this thing, he doesn't even finish it. Maybe he asks food, you give him, he doesn't even finish it. And then he goes, he is picking something else. He is overactive. That is another extreme. We would call that the term we use is basically excitedness or schizophrenia. It's overexcited. The individual is overexcited. You have a schizophrenic. In other words, schizophrenic minds think about too many things. They will tell you that I have been a professor. They will tell you they are professors, or they will tell you they are engineers. They will tell you very high things, very high. If your child comes and tells you that he was giving a lecture, and you know that he has really not had the basics to give a lecture, then you know there is something wrong. If someone tells you that he was involved in discussing about purchasing apartments in South Sea, and I was thinking of going to, there is someone I'm going to discuss about getting money to purchase those apartments. so that I can invest. It sounds a brilliant idea, but you should link that idea with the person. Kama mimi nikija nikikwambia I was looking for money, because I'm putting a tie, you would respect it. But I could still be. So you need to understand the individual. Who is this? Somebody who is saying he has been giving lectures in the university. So those are the extreme categories, but then you have in between ranges which, those extreme ideas, a lot of ideas, and they will tell you that last night this and this happened. They will tell you stories about what happened last night. Then you look at this individual, this fellow was in the bedroom. How did these things happen? So these are extremes. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thank you, Professor. I just want to contribute. Professor Getui has asked, so how do we term all this? So we said when you're feeling you don't want to go out, initially you used to find yourself socializing very well, but all of a sudden you stop going out, you stop eating, either you are overeating, undereating, you stop keeping yourself well groomed. When you see all these signs, those can actually be signs of mental health conditions. So I want to speak from the psychologist point of view. So just to add on what Dr. has said and what Professor has said, sometimes these things could just be general anxieties. And one of us mentioned about anxieties, and it's usually very hard for somebody to point out what anxiety looks like. And so you may actually ask yourself, am I anxious? Is my colleague, my family anxious? And some of the signs and symptoms to show that you are actually anxious is when you get panic attacks. Unasikia kitu tu hivi unashtuka. You get your lips are dry, your skin is dry. You remember something, then you unashtuka, all right? So when you get such kind of things, then you can start thinking about whether you are anxious or not. And some of these things, it's good that a professional, a specialist, especially therapists, actually tell you whether you are anxious or not. Some of the anxieties are normal, because in life you must have some stressors so that you're able to push to the next level. So some anxieties are okay, but when you have adverse anxieties, then that becomes a problem, and that may require even medical intervention. Another term we can actually say about stress, we talk about stress. Stress is when you have certain goals, for instance, and you're not able to achieve those goals. So I want to go there, but there's so many seats here. How do I get there? So unajisumbua. You are stressed about how do I get to achieve that goal. So when you allow yourself to think about how you are getting to that door, you allow yourself to think about it so much, you end up getting stress. And some stress in life, some levels of stress is actually good because they make you move from one step to another. There's another aspect of stress called eustress. Eustress is when, for instance, you have a new job. You've been looking for a job. Mommy, So eustress is when you have good stress. For instance, for a long time you have been stressed over unemployment. Then all of a sudden you get a job. And so this job, you have been staying in Ngong, but this job is in Nairobi. And so you have to wake up early in the morning. You are excited at the same time. You are stressed because the job is very far. Eustress comes in terms of there's an excitement, I have this job. So the eustress also comes in the fact that I don't know how to do this job. It's a good thing you're feeling eustress. To some extent also, when you do not manage your eustressness very well, it also leads to more stress. And now into a more greatest condition on that is depression. So when you are not able to manage your anxiety as well, when you're not able to manage your stress well, they can actually lead to depression. This is where you actually, all these conditions, all these signs you've been feeling about, I am not well, I have panic attacks, I am not going to socialize, I am not eating well, I am not dressing well the way I used to, I am not even showering every day the way I used to, I can't do fun things I used to do. When you allow those things to get into you and get used to it, they become part of your life, then that becomes depression. And so how do you identify depression? It's very hard. Most of the people who go through depression actually do not go out. Until somebody closer to you identifies that, okay, Lynette, nowadays there's a way. There are things you're doing that are not usually, are not very good. It takes somebody to be highly self-aware to establish whether you are okay or not. And so that course of actually self-awareness, you need to learn how to feel yourself. You need to learn to understand and to also think about what you're thinking. For instance, if, what's an example? You used to be very empathetic. When you hear a friend of yours or a colleague or anybody closer to you is going through something, then all of a sudden you are not feeling anything about it. Because you have gone through so much life to an extent, you are in denial. You are not addressing the stresses, the situations going around you. So you deny some facts. No, I can't be feeling this way. Or a family member has been diagnosed by a health condition. Or even yourself, then you fail to accept that. You say, no, I've been eating well, I've been keeping good exercise. How do I have cancer? So you are in denial. If that is not well monitored, it actually leads to depression. It's one of the signs that actually makes us know that you are depressed. Another one is regression. Regression is when I am here, I'm an adult, I have a family, I have a job, I know I am supposed to be doing certain things. But then I start doing things that I was expected to have been doing a long time ago. And with all due respect, and a lot of respect. For instance, you are a man or a woman. You find yourself, you're around 40, 50, you are married with children, and then you start doing those things that people in campus do, all right? You start doing, you regress, you're seeing off, girls, you're running after girls, you're running after, boys, you're doing all those things, you know, a lot of things. If you can hear me, I don't want to, because I can see we are a mix. So you go back to start doing some of the things you are not doing, regressing, you regress back. When it's actually properly looked at, and when it's established, it can actually be established that you are actually under depression. Another one is displacement. And a perfect example. You can have a lot of stress from work. You can have a lot of stress from your family. Then you come and find Professor Gitui. Professor Gitui anafanya tu kazi yake. Unakuja tu unapita na yeye, right? Una displace, right? And sometimes you're so angry, unapita mtu anafanya kitu kidogo tu unamslap, right? Kwa nyumba uko na shida, ukienda job, una pass that stress to your colleagues, to your juniors. You go micromanage them, you go insult them. What would you, why you are behaving that way? You are displacing the conditions, the mental status, the struggles you are going through, you are displacing because you are not addressing them appropriately. So when you see people, even at your workplaces, in family, in churches, even sometimes here, you're just seated nicely, and then you get somebody coming, harassing you. Sit there. Evelyn is laughing. If you understand what mental health is, you actually look at this person and you just move. Because you understand this person could not be having a very rough time. I actually do that, or even at the road. When you find yourselves, you get somebody who wants to overlap you. I was telling some friends of mine that a long time ago, before I also was self-aware and before I was well-educated, you could find somebody overlapping on the road, you also want to race. But when you get to understand that people are actually going through so much, someone overlapping you just look at them kindly and say, she could be going to the hospital, she could be carrying a sick person, she could be late to an interview, she could be under drugs, and then you let them pass because they are bringing their anger, they are bringing their challenges to you. And so it takes somebody to be extremely self-aware so that you get to understand these things. But even you, when you find yourself displacing some of these matters, sometimes you get angry, as we have said. You get angry for nothing. You beat children up for nothing. You quarrel for nothing. When you finally recognize and are self-aware that the way I'm feeling is not really proper, then you actually can connotate that to depression. The last one is called rationalization. A sign of depression again. We're told, when you take alcohol is bad. Then you say, but these people are doing it. But everybody's doing it. But my age mates are doing it. The way you are dressed is not proper. That hairstyle is not good. But everybody's doing it. That eating habit is not good. But everybody's doing it. So you are trying to rationalize the things you are doing. So when you find yourself or you notice somebody closer to you doing that, then know that they are going through something, and that could be depression. And so as I finish, that was my contribution. I'm taking a lot of time. As I finish, some of these things, they actually begin from what you feed your mind, how your thoughts are, what you allow yourself to overly think about, and the way our minds work. And Daktari can talk. I'm talking from the psychologist's point of view and not from the medical. And Daktari can tell you that our brains are made of neurons. Neurons are things like branches, okay? So there's a branch here, there's a branch here, there's a branch there. So when you entertain a thought in your brain, there's like a branch that grows. For instance, you entertain happiness. Today I'm going to be happy. A certain real neuron of happiness comes. When you walk through that path, you walk through that path in the brain. Same way if I want to go up here for school, and I walk through this hill 1 time, I do it tomorrow, I do it the next day, I do it next week. At the end of about 21 days or a month, you would actually find a path there. That is what happens to our brain. When you entertain a certain thought, whether it's a happy thought, a sad thought, a thought to hate somebody, a decision to love somebody, you establish something, a path in your mind. And so today I decide to love, let me just use Professor Getui. Tomorrow I think about Professor Getui, Lenampenda. So the other day I think about, so I'm establishing a path in my mind. And sad to say, by the end of 21 days, you would have actually established a habit. And so some of these things we do, whether it's in drugs, whether it's in watching things that are not really heavenly, whether it is in certain habits that are not good, and whether they are good habits, it takes you creating a path in your mind. So you keep entertaining a certain thought, you entertain it forever, a few days, then it becomes real. And that's what usually happens to those people who commit suicide. Those people who commit suicide, most of them do not just wake up. They had a thought, they entertained it, and for almost like a month, they had that similar thought because they now created a very permanent desire in their brains. And so they are usually pushed. The causes can be environmental. Some of the causes can be biological. Some of the causes can actually be how you were brought up. Prof mentioned in the morning that the way you are actually brought up informs how you behave when you are an adult. For instance, if a child was brought up in a very hostile environment, you will find if you trace the life of that child to his adulthood, high chances are that that child will equally be hostile. And everybody will be touching their lives to be hostile. So some of the causes could be environmental, some of them will be our upbringing, and on the environmental, it can range between who am I associating with, who am I working with, which places do I go? And so that goes to the kind of, the family can be environment, your workplace can be environment. What kind of work am I doing? Is it a highly stressful job? And sometimes that environment can actually be human relation. Professor Secretary is my supervisor. If professor is not really handling me as her junior and respecting me, but instead, being hostile, you can be sure I'm going to be stressed. You can be in a family setup, your parents, your children. If your children are wayward, if your husband, is hostile, if your wife is hostile, you can be sure you're going to be stressed, and that is part of the environment. And of course, some of the causes we cause them self-initiated problems. For instance, we are told, yesterday we talked about when you schedule for, how is it called? Physical. Wellness. Sometimes you just want to go to the hospital so that you can check your pressure, you can check how your knees are doing, your internal organs and all that. But we forget about the mental health. We forget about the fact that we actually need to speak to somebody so that we can just establish how we are doing. We forget about doing things. It depends on how you were brought up. It can be self-initiated. It can be social. What else? I think I have exhausted. We can add into that, yes.
I think we'll open it up another to have the mic. You can work with it in case somebody has got something to add on the courses or comment on what Lynette has said. Any more additions? Oh, yes, there's a hand. Are you there?
I think some of the causes you forgot to say is that when people are alcoholic and take drugs, most of them end up having mental issues.
Thank you, that's true.
Again, Lynette, what do the drugs and alcohol, or what we consume, how does it affect our system, our body? You could add on that? Why we should avoid some of those things? Yes.
Alcohol. You see, they say, I have not taken alcohol myself, but research shows, or the people who have taken alcohol say, when they take alcohol, they feel high, they feel excited, all right? That's why you say, I was feeling so stressed today, and so I went to take alcohol. So that alcohol gives you temporal excitement. It gives you temporal gratification. And anything that gives you temporal gratification, I want to be happy now, without minding what is going to happen in future. So when you take alcohol, it affects your mind because you get so excited. You think when you have problems, you are going to take alcohol so that your problems can be sorted. But what that happens, you will be suppressing your problems. That's what you're saying. You suppress how you are feeling. You are not directly addressing your concern. For instance, you could be having a problem in your family. Then you get out of home, you go into a bar to take alcohol. When you go there, you get other excited people who have also taken alcohol, and all of you are excited. So you are excited temporarily at that moment, but the problem you had at home has not been sorted. When you sober up again, where do you go back to? Where the problem was. So did alcohol sort your issue? It only gave you the temporal gratification. So it affects how you think. It affects your decision making. Because you do that today, you do it tomorrow. It becomes part of you. Anytime you have a problem, you run to alcohol because you think you're going to be excited there. And you are excited in a moment. By the time you notice that alcohol has actually started correcting your internal organs and even your brain, you're not thinking right. And so every day, you want to be to alcohol, thinking you're happy, but ni problem zako zimekuwa suppressed. Same to drugs. The drugs, they make you excited in a moment, but they do not give you a long-lasting solution. So you keep suppressing your problems. You keep suppressing your problems. And that's how some of the lifestyle diseases actually come. Because you're not able to address the issues. And that's why we are encouraged to live in the moment. When you're told, do not worry, we are encouraged, you have a problem right now, address it. During our meeting, our health speaker was saying how when she notices a problem, she addresses it there and then. Why? Because she does not want to carry a baggage. Because the more you carry that baggage, the more you carry a load. When you have loads, and this life can give you actually many loads. You know, today is a boss, tomorrow is a spouse, the next day is a child, the other day is a friend. So you keep carrying all this without offloading, without addressing those issues. They lead up to be a very big mountain. And most of the time, when not well addressed, it's very, very late. Hypertension, which you didn't have. Or because you're not thinking right, you even end up getting even an accident. An accident can be on the road at home. You end up destroying your relationship. So alcohol and drugs, they give you very temporary gratification. But anything that gives you temporal gratification without actually seeing what the benefits are in future is usually not the best way to go. So we are encouraged to look futuristic. What I'm doing now, how is it going to affect me in my future life?
Thank you very much, Lynette. As I was looking at this topic, it also came out that sometimes society's expectations will cause us mental challenges. For example, you have finished university. We expect you to be having a job and to be supporting the family. Now, that is not happening because you went for the interview and you did not get a job. It's not because you don't have the ability. So, society's expectations. And for parents here, sometimes we are putting pressure on our sons. I have not seen you bring a boy. I have not seen you bring a girl. When are you getting married? So, expectations from the society. Another cause is when we have set goals for ourselves that are not fulfilled. Again, not because of our own doing. Maybe sometimes, like if we indulge in alcohol and those kind of things, but sometimes it just doesn't work. So we are likely to fall into anxiety, like that young man mentioned, and just feel like we are worthless, life is not working. I would like us, does somebody have something else to add on the courses? I'd like us to move on to what can we do for ourselves and for others so that we don't get into mental challenges or we get out of them. But I want to open in case there's any addition on the courses before we go to what can we do when we find ourselves in that challenge. I think already Lynette has said that when we notice that something is not right, we need to seek professional help. What will the profession do? Maybe we have some counselors here, some psychologists. So when I come to you, or when my family bring me to you, how will you help me? Or what will be done to help? Daktari, we might have to come to you Again?
Alcohol does not cause excitement. Alcohol dampens the brain. Full stop. But you know the brain, the way it is formed, it has got a part that excites and a part that dampens, so that you have a balance. That's why sometimes you can react so violently at your husband, you think, is this my husband? Because the excited part is overshadowed the dampening part. So alcohol dampens, and it starts by dampening the part that dampens. That is the part which is more susceptible. Once it is dampened, the executor takes control. That's why you see people, when they are getting one bottle, some people take two bottles. They so excited, they talk so much. And you want, but you know if they continue, they have another one, the kind of pictures, you can't even reach home. So it dampens. And the more you do that, your capacity, your brain capacity just goes down. That is really what we need to do. And if you have someone who is taking alcohol, try to help him to believe. If they can reduce, hopefully, they will get saved. This is the next part who will tell us about that.
Good afternoon. Yeah, it's a bit a challenge, but I will just try to say how I understand it. I think one solution which I will help somebody who has that problem of mental, you can just help that person by giving therapies. For instance, if it is alcohol, you can do counseling with that person by telling him or her disadvantages of, or how does drug and alcohol affect the body or the mind. Another solution, which I can just counsel that person, is doing some exercises. Because somebody, you're given as an example where somebody is indoors, he doesn't want to talk with anybody, or he doesn't want to do anything, he's there. You can just tell that person to do an exercises. Another, if it's extra mile with mental health, that person can go for rehabs if it's possible. That's what I can say.
Thank you much, Mama. She said exercise. Simple. Exercise, you can walk. Do you have to pay to walk? No. Rehab could be another way. We know that there are expenses there, but we are talking about lives and saving lives. We don't have much time. We could talk a lot about the rehabilitation as well. Which are the other ways? Thank you, Dr. for fishing her out. She has given us a fish, another one. Yeah. Which other ways? We're trying to see solutions or remedies. They may not solve the issue fully, but something that can help us. You can see, yes, Ms. Mabel. Yeah, the mic is here.
It's creating awareness. Like now you are sharing with us from the pulpit. Next time I feel like if someone feels like there's some things that are not right in his life or her life, then that person can easily relate to what we are sharing with us today, and even to help himself or help our family member. Thank you.
Creating awareness. Asante sana. Something else? Yes, I know your name is Ruth.
Yes, and I am a nurse. That is something for you. Now, depending on the course, then you can address the treatment modalities. I think we have talked more about the psychotherapies, whether it's individual or group, and the behavioral therapies. But there's a place for treatment medications, especially those in depression. At some level, they need conventional treatment. So that is why we say refer people with mental disorders to the specialists. There's a place for therapy, there's a place for treatment. Thank you.
So there's a place for therapy and for treatment. Please, we are able, you can help us a little bit. Therapy, treatment, what is the difference between the two? The mic is back to you.
I think when you talk about therapies, you're trying to explore activities and behaviors that this person can engage in and therefore manage to get back their ability to cope in terms of their work. But when you talk about treatment, if we have antidepressants and such medications, and we have other treatments that are probably complicated, like the electroconvulsive therapies, but these are specialist therapies. They are not things you can tell your friend, let me show you how to do. So that's why you need the psychologists and psychiatrists to come in.
Thank you very much. I was reading somewhere that there are simple things that we can do, just not even for mental health, but for general wellness. And one of them is a healthy diet. We went to see a doctor sometime, and one of the things he was recommending was about diet. And he said, I know you are a Seventh-day Adventist, so I don't need to tell you very much about diet, because I expect you as Seventh-day Adventist to know. A bit of a challenge, but we know what God gave us, right from the Garden of Eden, a healthy diet. I know there's debate about whether we should consume meat or whether this or that, but generally a healthy diet, because if we are well, maybe a healthy diet will contribute to our physical wellness, then it's likely that even our mental health will be taken care of. What is the importance of socializing? Because we have seen that some people lock themselves in. What benefit do we get by socializing with others? I wish I knew your names. Ruth, I knew you because somebody said, beyond Ruth, nobody should be sitting there. Okay.
Good afternoon again. When you socialize, that's one way of reducing stress, and also you can learn from others.
I'm not getting it very well, yes.
Okay, when you socialize with others, it's one way of reducing stress, and also learning from others what you are supposed to do or what's good for you. Therefore, that's the two factors which I can say.
Yes. Thank you.
I hope you have heard it. Very powerful. You release, because I mean a lot of the things is that you have too many things in your head and you are trying to solve all of them. You can't. You are limited. But when you socialize, you are able to say, me, I tried this, I've really struggled with this, and so on and so on and so on. And then somebody, oh, I also had that, but you know, I tried this and it worked. You have already got a solution. So you release. The second thing is you get inputs, you get guidance from others, experience from others. I just want to confess here is that I don't know how many men are here, but I want to praise the Lord for the ladies. Your capacity to socialize is much higher. I'm not saying that all socializing is good, but I mean your capacity to socialize is very good. You interact. You had these two sitting together have already exchanged too many things, but these others who are sitting together have not exchanged anything. So, ladies, the Lord bless you, and try and help your male counterparts to also learn to socialize. We sit down with our problems. I mean, we think we can solve them on our own. It's a problem. So the Lord bless you.
maybe on socialization, the social events we have, weddings, parties, those activities where you like to go, they actually help your body release the endorphins, the feel-good hormone. And that helps you to calm down. If you are stressed, you are feeling stressed, and it will lead to a problem, it takes away that. So the next time you invite to an event, go for your own health, mental health.
Thank you very much. So go to the wedding, go to the baby party, yes, go to these places. Are they expensive? No. And related to socializing, when did you talk to those of you who are younger, when did you talk to your parents last? When did you talk to a sibling? When did you talk to a friend? One of my good friends, she lives in Canada. And one time she just sent a message which said, distance separates us, but the glue is still strong. We don't see each other for years and years, but I know that she's there for me. How many friendships? And when we have a friend, there are also things we need to be careful about. When I tell you what my challenges are, please don't each to go and say it to the next person. That will bring even more depression. Confidentiality, but socializing. We can talk more again about that. Time doesn't allow. What about sleep? Sleep. Is it important? I want to hear from the people. Doctor, continue with your job of fishing the people. Sleep. Lynette, can I fish you to talk about sleep? How important is sleep?
Sleep. You see, we all work. And when you work, your physical energies actually go down, your mental energies go down. And so you must have a space to renew your energies, whether they're physical, whether they are mental. So when you sleep, you get to relax. And we are talking about sleep, good sleep. Going to bed and actually sleeping. Not going to bed and lying, tossing, side to side. That's not sleeping. And all of us have a challenge, including myself. You get to bed at 9 or 10, you end up sleeping after 3 hours. That's not good sleep. So we are not talking just about sleep. It has to be good sleep. And I think I was reading, I don't know if it was the health ministries, Ellen G. White on health something, where she was actually saying the good sleep is actually that when you get before midnight. That deep sleep you get, that is actually the best. But most of us, we find ourselves sleeping after 12. So when you are so tired even to sleep, because your mind is so much troubled and distracted by so many troubles of the day, mpaka you cannot sleep. So when we're talking about sleep, it has to be good sleep. Because when you sleep, you rest your mind in terms of your mental capability. You rest also your physical body. So in that, even a few minutes before we sleep, and we talked about this, there's an aspect of actually what do you feed your mind before you sleep. So you can go to bed, but what did you feed your mind immediately before you went to bed? Because that will also determine the quality of sleep you will have. So sleep is good because it renews your lost energies that were spent actually during the day. And that could be mental energies or physical energies.
Thank you very much. That's about sleep. The other one I saw is that we need to stay active. We need to stay active. What do we do? When I talk to younger people, I tell them about the use of the 3H. The head, the heart, and the hand. I have a cartoon. It reads, maybe hard work never killed anybody, but why take chances? Does the hand get finished when you work? There's water and soap. Even when you touch the earth, I can't remember the technical term for it, but that when you walk on the ground, when your feet touch the grass, the soil, there's something it does to our body. Walking, simple but staying active. Mamas, how do we stay active? What are some of the things we need to be doing? Then I come to the papas. Yes, what are some of the things that we need to do to stay active? Yes, my sister.
For mamas, I think there's a lot that we do, especially in the house, cleaning, cooking. We also have we also do a lot of walking because sitting is actually very rare. Most of the time you are up and down. And if you have a small garden, we also love doing gardening. Yeah.
So a bit of gardening, and I imagine many of you who live in this area, you have a little garden. Is there? It will not only keep you active, but it will also give you a healthy product for your table. A friend of mine was doing research and she went to one part of this city and there was a very good crop of spinach. And she told these people, I want some of this. And they told her, Mama, hii si ya kukula, hii ni ya kuuza. They've grown it in a not a very good environment. Ni ya kufanya nini? Ni ya kuuza, si ya kukula. But if you grow yours, at least you know what you are getting. And we need to teach our children the responsibilities for both men and women, but I guess it falls more on the women to also guide our children to do this and that. Give them responsibilities. You will not be there tomorrow. The people who help them may not be there tomorrow. Let them learn to do things for themselves. And the papas, you are very few, so I will get you. Elder Naftari has his hand up, if somebody can give him the mic. Good afternoon.
Thank you, young man. Sorry. Age is a factor in toning down a number of these mental health issues. I come to realize that age is a power which tends to quell down, slow down some of the anxieties that the economics, the politics, and the social upheavals in our society tend to arouse among us. And many times I find when I talk to a younger person on an issue, somehow I see them changed. So I believe that age is a factor in the therapies that Ruth are talking about. Age is a factor. If we can apply it, relate to our older people in society, we tend to quell, to reduce the levels of anxieties. Our modern days, the economies of scale, the lack of money, the temperaments which have been aroused by our sheer living styles require a different approach. And the socialism we are talking about is good because you learn from experience. But one important thing I will tell you as an experience, keep friends. Keep friends. Because in friendship, you open up. In friendship, what you think is your secrets are no longer secrets anymore. And you discover your friend also knows and is experiencing the same problems you have. So socially, but with friends, you will find you are more comfortable and you are open. So what you think your heart and your emotions are running through, you discover that maybe so and so is also having the same issue. And therefore, you reduce your tension. The other point I'd like to mention to you, about a year or two ago, President Magufuli of Tanzania asked some of his Tanzania members, if you want to listen to music, go down there. I don't know which. Which one he was referring to among the choirs in Tanzania. Go and listen to the Seventh-day Adventist choirs. Now, we don't know what we have, but we are not using. That is being, and my father did the same, I think. Almost any time I find him singing, and I tried to imitate them. I never succeeded well, but I find that has helped me immensely. When I feel tired, that is the vocation I run to. It is singing. It is learning songs. It is humming. Even if you have no good tones, please do sing. In your household, in your little activities, sing. Sing. And then do visitations. Ekeusi, I don't know, the few that will not understand Ekeusi, it says, Kwani abako mere moteli koera. The meaning is, do not say you are working throughout and you have no time to go and greet a friend, a relative, an older person to you, a younger person to you. Visitations are important among ourselves. And that tends to meet or to militate against many of our mental issues we have, as well as the happiness we need among ourselves. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much, Elder.
I think, as Mzee has been saying, for the young people, there are many things that come to your way. And the kind of choices you make when you are in your youth stage determines the kind of person you are in the future. So, as much as you want to do what you want now, make sure that you make the right choices, do the right thing, and choose something that can give you the kind of person you ought to be tomorrow. Now, the other thing is, as we fellowship together, we also need to find time together, and what we are doing this afternoon, where we can go beyond the Bible and share the experiences you have gone through. You will find that there are old people who have gone through some experiences, and rather than you keep quiet, if you are going through some challenges, don't keep quiet. Identify some old people who are within the congregation and ask them something that you have found difficult. Because in most times, age gives you knowledge, not because of what you have read in books, but from the experiences some of these old people have gone through. They are able to give you a practical approach of how you can approach some things, and that practical approach makes it possible for you to be able to cope with very difficult situations. When we look at the environment we are, we can't say we are basically in the rural area. We are within the urban areas. The kind of challenges you face on a daily basis, you need to make a choice. What kind of friends you cope with young people, and how you relate to others will determine the kind of person you go to. So friendship is something good, but you need to be able to understand which kind of people do you bring in your life, who can be able to help you in determining what kind of activities you get involved in, and those activities you get involved in will determine the kind of person you want to be tomorrow. When you look at these old men and the old mamas who are here, and you say, that Musi and that mama, they behave very well. How come they behave the way they are behaving? It is because they made a right choice, did the right things when they were at your age, and they are now able to live on a life which is not reflected on what is coming around them, but the kind of choices they made, and those choices they made have made it possible for them to cope with all the situations that come to their lives. So don't go bothered that, hey, my church people, I can't ask them anything. If you have a problem dealing with a particular thing, go to your church elder, go to your mamas, and ask them something. And they will be able to give you direction, not based on what is based somewhere of the experiences you have gone through, and those experiences you have gone through becomes practical approach in answering some of your basic questions.
Thank you very much. Elder, you want to say something? Okay. Now, thank you very much. We've heard from Mama, we have heard from the papas. Very good. It is written somewhere that a young man could climb a tree, but he won't see, or she won't see, what an old person can see. Wisdom, experience are some of the best teachers. Thank you very much for that sharing. We are coming to the end. We don't have much more time. Another one is to determine our purpose in life, to know that we are not here by accident. We are God's creatures. I was born when I was born. This little girl could be my granddaughter. There's a reason for God's time and for God's timing for you, for me. What is the purpose? We also need to identify our talents and make use of them. The talent may not necessarily give us money, but it's a way of expressing God's goodness to us, because my talent is not your talent. It is that God-given gift. We could even call it God-given responsibility. As we end, there's a lot being said now about self-care. When we are talking about mental health, when we are talking about health generally, about self-care. There are many things other people will do for us, but what is it that we are doing for ourselves? If we had more time, we could talk about what self-care entails, but I think it's quite self-explanatory. And finally, we won't end this session without bringing up an idea that is very well associated with Seventh-day Adventists, the New Start. New Start, what does it stand for? N stands for nutrition, E stands for exercise, W stands for water, S, sunlight, T, temperance, A, air, R stands for rest, and the last T is trust in God. Thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you very much for the sharing. We keep learning, it never comes to an end. May God bless each one of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. We have come to the close of today's session and the week that we were actually discussing matters health. Before I give my vote of thanks, probably you could just allow me 2 minutes to make a conclusion of this discussion. And so we have talked about matters of self-care. We have talked about seeking therapy, seeking treatment. But then what we are saying is actually you may not even get to that level. There are things you can actually do so that you don't get to seek treatment. You don't get to seek therapists. And some of these things is what Prof has talked about is self-care. And just in a minute, self-care, what is it about? So we have been learning since yesterday that all of us are pressed, and we are going to be pressed, because even people in the Bible, the apostles were pressed, and we are going to be pressed. But then there are good things that come with that pressing. So what we need to do, this is part of also self-care, have gratitude. Look back, when we think about count your blessings, name them one by one. Much as you are depressed, you can actually look back and say, okay, I'm in this situation, but what do I have to thank God for? Count your blessings and actually even journal them. Say, thank you, Lord, because you have done this. And that is about gratitude journal. Meditate on the goodness of the Lord. Meditate on what the Lord has done to you. Where you were yesterday is not where you are today. Where you were last year. So meditate on what God has done to you. And that's part of self-care. Number 4 is a reflection. Reflection in terms of where am I right now? What do I need to achieve? What do I need to do in order to achieve what I want? Reflection. Daily reflections actually give you motivation to achieve what you want. Number 3 is actually occupy yourself with things. You can sing in music, as our elder was telling us. You can go walk, as our late Mishira used to have, that walking club. You can do football. You can do so much. Occupy yourself so that you are not idle. It's part of also helping your mental status and even your physical. Number 4 is being helpful. Do something to the community, because at the end of the day, when you do something good to the community or to people around you, that goodness comes back, because when you do something, you end up feeling good, for doing something. And this something doesn't have to really be monetary. You can visit a person, you can go sing with a person, you can text somebody, just do something. You can do community development. And by being helpful in whatever way, you end up actually helping yourself. Number 3 is something we call bibliotherapy. Bibliotherapy is reading books. Read as many books, and you can actually start with the Bible. Basic, let me call it basic because it's readily available. Read books, because also in the process of doing that, you are actually doing self-therapy before you go seeking professionals and even treatment. And then, as we finish, our elder said, what do you have, what do you have in your hands? Yes, you are in that situation, but at the end of the day, you have something in your hands, and this is what God wants you to use. What do you have in your hand that can make you move from that situation to another situation? And some of the things that actually happen to us, one, there are those that we can control. They are those ones that we cannot control. For the things we can control, if you know that this one is within my disposal and I can control it, work very hard. Remember yesterday I mentioned, a stranger mentioned to me, if you can control whatever is eating you up, work extremely hard so that you can achieve what you want and fix it. But if you can't control the situation, let it go. Let it be and let God be. I want to extend a heartfelt gratitude to all the participants for observing, coming to these sessions throughout the week and up to now. We really, as the health department, we do not take it for granted. We have been blessed. We have been blessed, Professor Getui. Thank you, Mr. Getui. We say thank you very much, and we want to, again, welcome you the next time. So I'm going to request that we rise so that we can do a closing prayer. I request Sister Sarah, Sister Ruth, Elder Daktari, you want to say something?
Our pastor is here, Pastor Joseph Nyasani. You know we have special guests from Karangata. Our pastor will come and maybe after we've sung, but we want to recognize senior pastor, Pastor Joseph Nyasani. He has joined us, so he has been blessed by this. And one of the things he has learned is that exercise and singing. He is a good singer. I'm sure you listened to what Mzee said. Singing is good. It will help to reduce your getting old. So he is a good singer, but most welcome. So let's sing and then he will pray.
Okay. So we can rise up and do song number. We can do A Shelter in the Time of Storm. Please come lead us. A Shelter in the Time of Storm. Five to 8.
The Lord's our rock, in him we hide. Sing. The Lord's our rock, in him we hide, a shelter in the time of storm. Secure whatever may betide, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cool and shade in the burning sun, faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm, a shade by day, defense by night, a shelter in the time of storm. No fears alarm, no foes affright, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cool shade on the burning sun, faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm. The raging floods may round us beat, a shelter in the time of storm. We find in God a safe retreat, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cooling shade on the burning sun, faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm. O rock divine, O refuge dear, a shelter in the time of storm. Be thou our help forever near, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cooling shade on the burning sun, faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm.
Praise the Lord. In a very special way, I want to commend Professor Getue for the presentation. And also, after presenting, she gave the floor to the elders to give the comments. And among those who have benefited, it's Pastor Nyasani. I've loved the presentation because health is life. Because here on earth we must live a happy life, especially in the area of health. So those who sacrifice to remain behind, may God bless you even as you begin the week. I've just come for a body meeting. I'm from 4 worship centers. I attended Ngong Hills, and then I went to Moja at Mathare. Then as I was coming, I passed by Bondeni Sabbath School, and all of those saying that as family, just remember remember to take our greetings and come again. Thank you, leader, for organizing such a good meeting. We have had a good time, and I know that very soon we'll be having a program which I heard from elders, and we are going to discuss on how we are going to implement it in our board. May God continue blessing you with your team. Thank you. Let's pray. Gracious Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we have had good opportunities to learn from your servants whom you chose for the day. We want to thank you for the health department in our church, and we want to thank you for blessing us with Professor Gitui and the husband, who have helped us to apply the health principles, which are divine principles, because that is life. And now, Father, as we go to implement them, may you help us. I want to thank you for the treasure you've given us in this church to have health department from the general conference up to the local church, and also in our families. Help us to apply these principles so that, Father, we may live longer and healthy life here as we serve you, because you want us to serve you as a healthy people, so that we are able to meet the mission mandate that you've given us. May you bless this church as we implement these principles. May you bless the elders of this church, the leaders, so that we remain united and we remain a mission-oriented church. Bless us abundantly, even as our facilitator goes home, join the family, and goes back to the church. Continue blessing with the family. Also, to remember our youth who went to minister at Kenyatta National Hospital to give a donation of blood.